right, Miss Bonnie, what's a win you've had recently?
I started working out with you in the morning. I'm getting up and doing some movement, so that's a big start.
Good job. Good job. Got a bodybuilder working out with us. That's quite a compliment.
Thanks.
Oh, how about you, Kelsey? What's a win you've had lately?
Well, I'm taking care of my in-laws' yard as well as mine. So I got theirs all watered today and took the kids all with me and got a whole, yeah, got everything done and yeah, made it on for here. So,
Good job. Um, how about you, Linda?
Lots of steps all week, so those are going really well. Drank so much water today. I was on the course in Redcliffe with my brothers, and oh my gosh, I drank 4 waters and I never went to the bathroom. So it was all just being absorbed. And so yeah, I'm getting my steps in.
That's awesome. I'm glad you're getting some golf in before the,
Yeah,
the surgery.
that's the last game. I put my clubs downstairs tonight, so.
Oh. Oh, good job. How about you, Lillian?
Um, Drinking more water, which is easier to do now that it's hot,
Yeah.
and continuing to do more squats and bicycles like every day, not just a couple times a week. So I'm trying to do that every day.
Awesome. That's good.
Yeah,
Yay. Work the abs and the glutes. I love
yeah.
it.
Hmm.
Yeah, good job.
Thank you.
All right. I will share. Well, I'll try. I'm using whiteboard technology here from on Zoom. So, you know, can you see that where it says from willpower to worthiness? Okay.
Yep, you can.
Awesome. Good, good. Working. Awesome. Okay. All right, ladies. This is kind of, I feel like 2.0 of sort of what we talked about last week. So more the high level version of it, not the same, next level kind of thing. So this we're digging into some real mindset work here. And this really, if you can grasp it and do it, it's really going to help you to make this lifelong results. So hope you get what we're talking about tonight. Hope we apply it. And of course, if you have any questions, you can stop me in the middle or you can save them to the end, whatever you want to do or anything that you want to add. So, from willpower to worthiness, making aligned choices without deprivation. All right, ladies. So, we're talking about mindset over willpower. And I'm hoping tonight that to help each one of us shift from relying on willpower to choosing healthy more from a place of respect for our bodies and being in alignment with our identity. So it just becomes natural and, like I said, lifelong. Because let's be honest, we've all had those moments. Like I posted about, I don't know if you saw it on social media this week, but when I was at the Calgary Stampede and surrounded by, all the things, all the crazy food options like deep fried Oreos and loaded fries and all those things that, might test a person's choices. But it's not about having stronger willpower in those moments. It's about becoming the kind of woman who knows how she wants to feel and chooses accordingly from love, not lack. So it's such a mindset shift. And it doesn't come easily, if at least for me, it took a long time to get to that point. But that's what we're going to talk about tonight and how to stop depending on willpower and start living from worthiness and alignment. So why willpower doesn't work. Well, willpower is a short-term strategy, not a long-term solution. And the reason why that is because willpower is limited. It runs out by the end of the day. We literally have limited amount of willpower, especially if you're tired or stressed or overwhelmed or extra hungry. You don't want your health goals, just hanging on the thread of how strong your discipline is at 7 or 9 p.m. or whatever it is. So it's limited and it runs out. So we can't rely on it because it doesn't last for us. We all know, we've been there where it's like, oh, we have great plans, we think we're going to do it, and then it's like, oh, it just all goes out the window because the willpower is gone, so we can't rely on that. Also, willpower kind of creates a war inside of you. Like it pits one part of you against the other, like, like the good girl versus the bad cravings, and that internal fight that can wear us down. And the bad thing about that is that it can have us feeling guilty or shameful when absolutely we should not, food should not have that power over us or anything really. So relying on willpower can lead us to that where we're like, oh, am I being good or am I being bad? Am I cheating or am I not, kind of thing. So just that kind of like internal battle that goes on in our brains can wear us down, and it's not good. So we don't want that happening to us. And then also it focuses on restriction, not on transformation. So when we rely on willpower, we're focused on what we're giving up. So I can't have that. I have to be strong because I can't eat that. And I have to be strong because I can't go do that. And all of those things. I can't drink that. I have to be strong. I have to rely on the willpower. But instead, we want to focus on what we're becoming, the person that we want to be. Because when we're just relying on the willpower and thinking about what we can't have, what we're giving up, then that just eventually leads to rebellion. So we don't want that either. So going from respect versus restrict. Oh, hang on just a second. So the power of the mindset. I wanted to touch on tonight that you are what you believe, because identity drives our behavior, but we get to choose our thoughts. So you are what you believe. If you feel like, you're the type of person that can that can do it, that can reach your goals, that can be strong and push through and that will achieve those goals, then you know what? You're way more likely to do it. We become what we believe about ourselves, and that's why it can be difficult to shift our mindsets, and also why we so often recycle patterns, because if this doesn't change, we can be doing all the things and still go back to our old patterns, because we need to shift what we are thinking about ourselves and how we are thinking about ourselves. So if we start to believe and convince ourselves, I am the person that can do this, I am the person that can reach this goal, I can achieve it. And that takes thinking about your history, the hard things that you have went through already, that you have accomplished, and recognizing that you've done harder things than this, you can do it. And convincing yourself when those negative thoughts try to come in that you can do it, that you are what you believe and you are going to become what you believe. So focusing on the good and the goals that you do want to achieve. And even if what we would consider failing, shifting that where, okay, it didn't turn out, or I didn't make the best choice today, or, I didn't make the choice that's going to lead me towards my goals today. That's okay. Like this is the long game. We're not in a sprint. It's like the marathon. We're in the long game. We just pick up and get back on track, and not letting yourself think of yourself as a failure, or that, you because you did something you shouldn't have done, or whatever that goes on in our heads. So shifting that into our identity, to believing that I am the person that can do this, I am the person that can accomplish this, because our identity drives our behavior. Seeing yourself as the person that can do it is going to drive that behavior and help you focus on getting to where you want to go. It's just how we're created, and it's such a mindset shift to see our person as the person that can do that. And one way I like to think of it also is pretending that you are that person. So if I'm pretending I am that person that works out 5 days a week, what am I going to do? I'm going to work out 5 days a week. If I'm pretending that I'm the person, if I want to be a person that drinks 100 ounces of water every day, for example, and I'm going to pretend to be that person, what am I going to do? I'm going to work on doing that, right? So changing our identity is huge. And it's going to help us get off those old patterns, those old ways of thinking, and drive our behavior to reach the goals and become the person that we really want to become. And then number three is that you get to choose your thoughts. And that sounds so easy, doesn't it? But it's not always easy. But reminding ourselves that I get to choose these thoughts. And if I'm going to let the negative keep ruminating, keep building, and keep going inside of my head, that's a choice. We each get to choose. So I can recognize that. We don't always choose the first thought. A lot of times those thoughts will pop in our heads and it's like, what? Where did that come from? But we get to choose the second thought and the thoughts and thoughts and thoughts after that. So recognizing, and I hope this is going to make each one of us a little bit more aware of our thoughts, recognizing that, okay, when those thoughts come in, recognizing them, and then deciding, am I going to keep going that way with the negative thoughts, the things that I thinking that I can't do it, or this is too hard, or all the bad things that are going to happen, or all the worry, or I'm going to stop that cycle, intentionally take hold of my thoughts and move them towards the direction that I want to go. And there's so much power in that because as we know, this is where it all starts. And it's the hardest part to control too, but we each get to choose. So shifting your mindset is so powerful, ladies. And then part three, respect versus restriction. I love, oh, I just want all of us to get this because choosing from a place of love and respect for your body feels completely differently than punishing or depriving yourself. Respect says, I want to feel good today. It's about caring for yourself now and also for your future self, not coming down on yourself or policing your current choices and just being hard on yourself. It's about actually caring about yourself and making the choices that are respecting your body, respecting your mind, respecting your health, and shifting that where we come from a place of love and respect for our body. This took me a long time. And I feel like, in a way, it was a bit of an advantage if you have some type of disease or illness that and I think the more we're aware of it, you'll notice it too, but even if you don't have something like that. But where when you eat something like it directly affects you, you feel it like within the day sort of thing. It's kind of it's a quick, we recognize it more quickly. And so recognizing that what I eat, I know, like it's very clear to me that what I eat can damage my body, can definitely fuel disease, and I'm aware of that quite quickly within a few days of eating certain things. Hardly really, not so much now because my body has healed so much that I don't really. But if I was to do it repeatedly, it would go back to the way it was for sure. But just that respect of getting it where I want to fuel my body. I want to take care of this body. It's been good to me and I want to love it and give it respect, and not just now, but my future self, and not just for me, but for my family and for all those that are around me as we age as well. So the respect for that too. And then respect honors your body's cues. So it listens and responds to what our bodies need, not just what the moment tempts us with. So, like I use the example of when I was at the Stampede this week and how literally the thought that came to my mind, and this has taken a while to retrain this thinking, but it was, how do you want to feel for the rest of this day? Like, how do you want to feel for the rest of this day? Do you want to eat all that crap and know that you're gonna feel bloated and gross? You might be a little cranky. You're gonna feel tired and lethargic, and you're with people you love, you want to make great memories today. So do you want to eat that stuff and feel like that? Or do you want to eat the stuff that's going to fuel you, give you energy, help you feel great and light and energized? So respecting our body's cues and listening to it, and also responding and paying attention to what our body needs, and going with that. And then respect is sustainable. It's true. It's not like willpower, because restriction burns out. But when we make choices from a place of loving ourselves and self-worth, it creates a cycle of feeling good about ourselves, self-confidence, keeping our word to ourselves, empowerment, which leads to results. So restriction, willpower, shame, that kind of thing, you know what, that gets old really quick and it burns out. And yeah, you might be able to sustain that for a few months, but you're going to get tired of that. You're going to get sick of living that way. And that's not a way to live. That's not designing a life you love. And that's what we're here for. When we make choices out of love, self-worth, empowerment, that's what's going to stick because we feel good. And it actually gives you that shot of dopamine so that you want to keep doing that. You want to keep making those choices. So, yeah, respect. Choosing things out of respect for ourselves, for our bodies, and for those that are around us that we care about. So, I want to share with you 6 practical steps to make that shift. Okay, ladies, let's get real. How do we actually do this in real life? Like when you're at the event or on vacation, or even when you're just tired and at home and, you know, all the things are happening. Well, number one that is so effective is pause and ask yourself. Like I said, this is what I do almost always now when I'm faced with choices, and it's just become habit. And I don't always choose the good choice. Don't get me wrong here. I don't always make the good choice. Sometimes I'll decide, you know, I am going to have that cheesecake. Like for my son's birthday the other night, we had cheesecake. Yeah, I'm having a piece of the cheesecake. So I'm not saying that it's not about perfection. Remember, it's about progress. But pause and ask yourself, how do I want to feel later? And that simple question can create a space between impulse of just doing it without thinking and intention. And again, like I said, when I was at the Stampede, do I want to feel bloated and regretful, or do I want to feel light and energized? Taking that pause, practicing the pause. There's so much power in the pause. And we could go into a whole talk about the pause when we're responding to what someone says to us or things like that, but also when we are reacting or responding and when we're reacting to what's in front of us as far as food and choices as well. So since we're just talking about food and health choices tonight, we're going to go down that path. But pausing, asking yourself, how do I want to feel later? So much power in that. And then number 2, anchor into identity. This is a big one. And like I said, we covered a little bit lightly on some of this last week, but this is like the high level version of this. This is the 2.0 version for if you really want to get it, you really want these results to last for a life. Anchor into your identity. Remind yourself, I am the kind of person who chooses food that fuels me. I'm the kind of person that chooses food that fuels me. Sometimes you got to remind yourself of that over and over and over again and just talk to yourself like that and get it into ourselves so that we actually become that and that becomes our identity. I am the kind of woman that chooses food that fuels me or movement that helps me be strong or, you know, mindset work that's going to help me grow and become a better version of myself, whatever it is. And I encourage you to post that affirmation. Y'all know I'm a big fan of sticky notes. So posting that affirmation on your mirror, saying it when you're, have choices in front of you, really embody it. Just go for it and let that become your identity. And it really can if you want it to. Takes the effort, takes reminding ourselves of that, but you can totally do it. And then number 3, this is I say this one a lot if you ask me what should I eat when I go out and all the different things, pre-decide your choice in tough environments. So say if you're going to a restaurant, look at the menu or ask me before you go. We can have a whole list of things, healthy options that you can choose so that you're not feeling restricted. You can have lots of options, but when you get there, then you're going to be way more likely to choose the healthy option than when you're hungry and everybody else is having all the other stuff. So think about that. Or, when you're going, even with like to a barbecue or something like that, make up your mind. Okay, I'm gonna have the protein and the veggies and whatever, potato or rice or whatever's with it. That's it. just deciding ahead of time. Or maybe you're going to decide, I'm going to have that. I know that dessert's going to be there. I'm going to have that one dessert or whatever. And then also know what you're going to say before you go is a good one as well. So I've had this conversation one-on-one with some of you, because when we know sometimes that we're going to be around certain people, sometimes we may feel awkward, or we may, be afraid of offending them or something like that. And having an idea of how you're going to say it before you even get into that situation is super helpful. And really, I find that very powerful. I mean, I just kind of have my go-tos now, like, oh, I'm good for now kind of thing, or oh, I'm actually really full, or whatever. But having those things in your mind before is going to help you. And that situation is going to be over by the time the evening is over, and then you have to live with the consequences. So you get to decide, and it's good to decide before you go, because decision fatigue is very real. So trying to decide in the moment and all of that is not always the easiest choice, and can set us up for failure. So prep your mindset just like you prep your meals. All right, number 4, create a feel-good swap list. I love this idea. So making a personal list of energizing, satisfying meals and snacks that are your go-tos when a craving hits. This makes good choices easier and also more appealing. So like, say, the energy bites, or something like that is going to satisfy that craving. Fat bombs, the chocolate fat bombs, that's one of my new favorite ones right now. That kind of thing, so that when the craving hits, you have a good go-to snack that you can have available. Or even, like, I always have RX bars with me in my vehicles, usually in my purse, something like that. If you're ever out and you need something, food, you can, if you find me, I will probably have an RX bar for you. But having something like that handy, so that when you get a craving or when you're hungry, you have a good choice that's ready, and you've already made up your mind of what's that good choice. And then number 5 is to celebrate the win, not just the weight. So when we choose to love our bodies and how it's responding for us, what it's doing, celebrate that, because that's how we reinforce the behavior and make it stick. How many of us know the scale can fluctuate for no reason? It can go up and down and all the things, literally. But when we shift the focus off of the scale is a decent way to measure sometimes, because it will help us stay on track and sort of gauge, but we can't put too much weight on that. Measurements are much better, pictures are better as well, and then just recognizing also how you feel. That's a big one, and celebrating that. And a lot of times we can get so caught up with the number on the scale that we forget to recognize that, oh, I have way less joint pain than I used to, or I don't have brain fog anymore, or I have way more energy, or my mood has improved, things like that. So celebrating those kind of things, man, that is just so good, and helps you to stay on track, more so than getting so caught up with what that little tin box in your bathroom has to say. So celebrate the wins, not just your weight. And then connect within our group. You are not meant to do this alone. Share your wins. Ask for support. Be in this room with all of us, and because we're all working to become who we want to become. And you might think that might feel awkward to share a win. You know what it does? Like, do you feel weird when somebody else shares a win in our Facebook group? No, everybody like celebrates. We're like, this is awesome. This is great. And it's encouragement to all of us when someone gets a win. Your win is our win. So I want to encourage you to share your wins inside of our group, or ask for support when you need it. Either me personally, if you want to, or in the group, because if you ask in the group, you're going to get a lot more feedback and everybody's ideas as well. So, just being there and being active in that community is so powerful. I feel like, especially as women, we really need community. And also, I don't know about your past experiences, but I've been in some communities where, as women, it's not always supportive and cohesive and nice. So we have an amazing community here, and that is on purpose. Um, you may notice some people come and go. I refuse to allow negativity in that group because we needed to stay positive. We need to encourage each other. So it's there for a reason. Let's utilize that. Let's share our wins and support each other. And, things like choosing the Greek salad over the deep fried Oreos at the Stampede wasn't because I'm more disciplined than you by any means. Man, some of y'all are way more disciplined than I am. But it's because I've trained myself to think differently about my body, my energy, and even my worth and what this body needs and deserves. So it's not, it's for sure not that I'm more disciplined than you. And it's not that I'm doing anything that you couldn't do. And it's not that let's be very clear on that. Like I said, I'm not perfect at this by any means. And it's not about perfection, because if we're trying to be perfect, that is like the biggest setup for failure. So knowing that, hey, yeah, I'm going to choose these things because life and I want to enjoy it, but I'm not going to choose them all the time. And I'm going to at least 80% of the time make the healthy choice so that I can reach my goals and can be where I want to be. Um, and stick with that. So it's just the mindset shift and thinking differently and reframing this. And you can do the same. I mean, with every choice, we are either reinforcing the old identity or we are stepping into the person that we want to become. And that is just something to remind ourselves of as well. Am I choosing from restriction or am I choosing from respect? Am I reinforcing my old identity and old behaviors? Because the more we choose that, the more we are solidifying that. Or am I choosing the new version of myself and becoming this woman that I want to be? So, um, things to think about and do. I wanted to put this on here. And if you want to share something on this tonight, that would be great. But you don't feel like you have to. But I would really encourage you to do these three things at some point. And if you want to send them to me, that would be even better. When do I tend to rely on willpower and feel depleted? So when are times when we tend to rely on willpower and then we end up feeling depleted and like, oh, I failed, and why don't I have the willpower for that? Don't get down on yourself if you lose willpower, because like I said, willpower runs out for all of us. We only have a certain amount of willpower every day. So if we can make that shift of not just trying to rely on willpower and press through, it's going to help a lot. And then what would choosing from love and respect for my body look like this week? So instead of choosing because I'm on this plan or because I want to lose this weight or because I blah, 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 blah. What if you shifted and chose, what am I going to eat to show love and respect to my body? Or what am I going to do? What am I going to drink? Just purely out of love and respect for my body. Because I think it's true that we all know what we should do. And too often we can get into that negative mindset with what's going on in our body. But making that shift and really loving and appreciating our bodies and wanting to fuel it so that it really can be its best version of itself. And that what affirmation will I anchor into every morning this week? So an affirmation, either your mirror moments or like we talked about earlier, that you could do every morning this week that would actually help you make that shift so that we're not just doing this for now, but actually it becomes lifelong results. It's been 15 years for me, which is crazy when I think about that, but my weight stays pretty close to right around the same time for 15 years now. Could I shred more? And, I probably could stand to lose another 10 pounds. Absolutely. And I did do that a couple summers ago when I worked with a bodybuilding coach and really did that. But that's not what's the most important thing to me. because that required me to spend 2.5 hours working out every day, tracking my food, doing all that stuff. And that wasn't in alignment with what I wanted to do. I'm happy with where I am because I have the balance. And that's something to ask yourself. What am I willing to change? What am I willing to give up to be where I want to be? What am I willing to do to be where I want to be and to be the woman I want to be? So sometimes we just need to have a look at that. And something that I'm really looking at of encouraging people to do more so is to think about, what am I willing to, where am I willing to go with this? And how important is it for me to choose love and respect for my body, um, rather than just what feels good in the moment? So I hope you ladies have found this helpful tonight. I will stop sharing my screen there. And I do have, if I can figure out how to do it here, I do have a PDF that I made today to go along with this. Yay, me. I'll see if I can figure out how to share it in the chat. So any thoughts, any comments? I want to hear from you ladies.
I guess the hardest part for me is getting back into my diet is love and respect. Like, you know, I didn't want to move because I just was so exhausted from not having the food that I wanted and needed for my body actually just to survive. I didn't realize I could feel like that, and that is it's a I don't know if you've ever been like that, but it's a very scary a feeling. I was falling asleep at work. I like it is absolutely horrible. But now it's love and respect. I think mine is like just getting back to the usual, which sounds very simple, but for me it's just hard because sometimes I don't even know what that is anymore.
Yeah.
You know, I love the look of what I want, what I had, but that wasn't a healthy weight. And tried to get that out of my mind. And what I have now is more healthier. But like you said, that scale is just a number, but tell my brain that. Like, and my coach said you needed more weight. That's not healthy. It's not healthy the way that you were doing that. So now it's just like eating that food, which I do like you do. Like, how do I want to feel? Like,
Mhm.
I don't like deep fried things. I don't like fast food. So I always go in where I'm going somewhere. It's always like, I want a salad and a protein. I always think of that when I go in. And then I look at the menu is because I like fish. Is there a salmon? Can I just have the side vegetables? Could I, you know what I mean? So I'm good that way. But yeah, I know it's just what is the norm now? Where do I go from here? I guess is what mine is.
Yeah, I love that, Bonnie. You see, you've been doing it long enough now that you've just made up your mind. I'm going with protein and veggies. That's it. It takes out the discussion and it takes out the decision fatigue, right? And don't feel bad about what you're going through right now. That's how it is when you do the bodybuilding thing. And like I said, I've been around a lot of them. I have like I know a lot of ladies, a lot of people, not just ladies. Body dysmorphia is a really big thing once you've done a bodybuilding competition. But you're coming back from it and you're working through it and here you are. So you're doing it. You're doing it. And that's a part of that. When people do something like that, we all want to look like you looked like. Right? But on the other hand, we don't all want to do what you did. So, but they don't talk about that when you go into something like that, the body dysmorphia and all of that can go along with that. But I'm so proud of you for now. You're making that shift, you're working through it, and you're getting control of that. So that's awesome. Amazing. Who else?
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Bonnie. Um, I was thinking kind of tied into like your last week's coaching too, which you said this was kind of like the next level of it. But I love that, like planning the indulgence. Um, and yeah, for me, I think about what do I really want to have? Like, I can pass up on a lot of like packaged things, and but when someone makes something like fresh that's homemade, that like they've used like, more real ingredients in, that's something that I'm like, okay, that's something I would enjoy, and I would rather have that and pass up on all these other things. So I actually really appreciated hearing that, because I've shared with you, Elsa, I can have like kind of an all or nothing mindset, thinking, thinking like, I choose one thing and then I ruined it all. And that's something that I'm starting to work through. And so to see that as healthy, to plan in the indulgences that I want to have. Um, and Oh, I also really like it, thinking about not about what I can't have, but what I can have and what I really enjoy. And I feel like there's just so many yummy foods and things that I can enjoy. And so I was thinking just quickly about the things to think about and do. That second one, what would choosing from love and respect for my body look like this week? I think about what great things can I make that will be delicious and nutritious because I'm cooking anyways for my family. So, um, yeah, that was one I thought of. And when do I tend to rely on willpower and feel depleted? I think I fall into the trap of like um feeling like I have to do everything and then not asking for help. And then I feel depleted and resentful. And I've probably fall into that mostly within my own home life and with my husband and family. So recognizing to ask for what I need, like I need to meet some of my needs. I just need 10 minutes by myself, or I need to go for a little breather. And but yeah, so asking for what I need. And then yeah, I haven't thought of my anchor for the affirmation yet, but oh, and I wanted to know what these what did you say these chocolate fat bombs are?
Oh,
I'm curious about those.
I'll post the recipe. The people in the spring into summer, I think, got it. So I'll post the recipe in
Okay.
the group. Yeah. Yeah, they're yummy. Thanks for sharing. That's so good. And not just trying to push through with the willpower, but actually asking if you need help and for that. That's so good, Kelsey.
We're Rick and I are very big meat eaters, so it's always difficult for me to think of a vegetable because we can sit down and just eat roast beef and then go back to work, or we can just eat a pork chop and go back to work. And so it's for us, it's the vegetables to supplement things, make a salad or have vegetables with things because we just eat meat. So it makes it quite uh, trying to figure things out when you come in and you think, oh, there isn't anything in the crisper, there's just nothing there. So the garden is great in the summertime because I love to garden. I always have something. But in the wintertime, you really have to, use the noggin. But and because of my age and, none of this is I, I've been there, done that kind of thing, and I've never been, um, I like who I am. I always have liked who I am. It was, there was only when I started the program, I didn't like who I was becoming. And so I needed that affirmation, and Elsa has been so good to give it to me. And yeah, and the scale doesn't mean anything to me anymore. I very rarely get on it because, it doesn't matter really how much I weigh. So, but I'm fit as a fiddle. I, I just love the exercising. So, and it holds me, accountable that 6 o'clock workout holds me accountable, and the 10,000 steps, well, that's simple, but and I know not for everybody, but for me, 10 to 15,000 steps is just my day. So water is always going to be a difficult one for me because I can't carry it around with me. So, yeah, as you progress, I think I've been with you about 5 years now. As you progress, some of this stuff just falls into place, and you don't even know you're doing it. It just becomes part of who you are, and that's exciting. I mean, I don't know. When I put on my pants, I like that I don't have a belly anymore. You'd think at 72 you wouldn't be vain, but when I put on my pants, I like to look good in my pants. So, so yeah, you guys have most of you are quite a bit younger than me, and you have something so good to look forward to. And so, but your identity definitely uh, sharpens up and gets um, you. You can fade into nothingness, Eh, because you don't have kids at home, you don't have uh, you get to be old hat with the guy you're married to. I've been married 54 years, so really, I mean, I don't have to look good for him. He just loves me. And so yeah, you learn a lot of stuff. Just keep doing what Elsa says to do, and it really does work.
So awesome. That's my goal for every person that we work with is that it just becomes who you are. Like you're not even having to think about it. It's so freeing because you're not focusing on food. We don't want to be doing that. We want to it just becomes who you are. I love that. Thanks for sharing that, Mark. That's so good. And as we know, yes, your husband loved you before and liked you the way you look, but now he really lets us know that he really likes how you look.
Yes, and he likes my firm butt.
I love it. Come on, see? No, no, none of that lies. That kind of stuff has to wean off or change or whatever. The better we feel about ourselves, we're going to show up as the best version of ourselves, right? In every situation. I love that. That's so good.
Marge, you're an inspiration to all of us. I love you.
Yes. So true. Yes.
I appreciate the power of the mindset, Elsa. Sometimes I can be pretty hard on myself internally and telling myself to smarten up and constantly remind myself of my mistakes. But this will be very helpful. Respect is very important for our mind and our body. And like I was at the, I feel like you said, identity drives, the behavior. And I think I have identity is kind of a new meaning for me after listening to this. I feel that is a real take home thing, a real winner for me. And you get to choose your thoughts and not be so hard on yourself. So, and this is for the long haul. This isn't just for the next couple weeks. I want to learn this for my remaining days and just enjoy today and how I want to feel today and later on in my life. And I think life is a good gift. So to take a pause and think about how we feel and yeah, anchor into identity. And I just really appreciate what you shared about that.
That's awesome, Lillian. So good. Oh, yes. I love to see that. I really hope it does really resonates and you get that. Take captive every thought and bring it into submission to Christ, right?
Yeah,
So when
yeah.
those negative thoughts try to come at us, which they always do, but like I said, we can't necessarily control the first thought, but we can control the next ones and the next ones. And that's such a Gotta get it. Ah, it's good. Thanks for sharing that. I'm excited for you.
Mhm.
Yes, it's good. Ah, any other thoughts? I posted the PDF in the chat. Let me know. Can you get it there? Yeah, okay, good. So that's just kind of the notes from tonight and with the action steps if you wanna give it a try. Awesome, ladies. Well, thanks for coming tonight and thanks for sharing. That's so good. So good to have you all share. Have an amazing evening. Stay strong. Keep practicing being the person you want to be. We got this.
Bye, ladies. Nice to see you all.
Yeah.
Have a great night.
See
Bye
ya.
bye.
Bye.